We look like rappers.
Hello, it's your host, Mac Daddy Fresh, Turbo McIdiot, Fart Pussy. Just kidding. This is the Average Bros Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Marcanio. I got my co-hosts here. Yeah, I just established, dude. What the fuck are you guys gonna do about it?
Nothing.
We got Anthony Ravelis. We got Tyler Ravelis. Double last name. That's what I like to call double hot.
Dual threat.
We got a loaded waiver wire podcast for you guys today. After week 4, we had a little craziness going on. Nothing too crazy. Just Vontaze Burfict being kicked out of the league for an entire season. But besides that, not too much going on. Before we start,
Pop that beer.
with this waiver wire, I just have a little message from our sponsor, Thrive Fantasy. Thrive Fantasy is a daily fantasy app for prop bets. They've eliminated the drafting process and eliminated a need for unnecessary hours of research by using only top-tier athletes. Instead of their traditional salary cap format, you build your lineup around a list of prop bets. For each contest, you need to choose 10 of the 20 prop bets plus 2 ice picks. 2 ice picks. So the ice picks are just so if someone, or if a game's delayed, something like that, it will throw that ice pick in for you. Each unique prop has an over and under point value assigned to it, and you will be rewarded if that point value of that prop is correct. For example, will Tom Brady throw over or under 250 yards? That's one of them. The less likely prop is going to give you more points, so on and so forth. So if you go and use Thrive Fantasy app right now, put in at least $10. They will match it and give you another $10 for free. That's promo code AverageBros for Thrive Fantasy. Thrive Fantasy, boys. And that's our sponsor read for today. So if you just skip through that and you're here, we're starting.
Is it too late to bet that Tom Brady will throw for under 250 yards?
It might be. Let me check. Yes, it is.
Okay. Can I still use the promo code?
You can use the promo code.
Okay.
Wow. What a great podcast listener you are.
Dude, I thought you were about to hit that drop for us, though.
Which one? This one? Oh, not that.
Oh.
No, it's not that. No, not that one.
No.
My fingers hurt.
No, not that one.
No.
No.
Your back's gonna hurt because you just pull landscape.
Oh, that was the full.
No, not that
No,
one.
not that one.
It's not that.
I got this one.
No, it's not that one.
Which one is it, dude?
Why is everyone so fucking stupid?
That one?
No, I think that's you right now.
Oh.
That was you like 10 minutes ago when you tried to catch a beer.
I'm roaring.
It's a good one right there.
You're literally
I'm literally
missing that
taking
one on
every-
purpose just to see if you can go through all of them. Hey!
That was a loud one, huh?
Wait,
That one gets me fucking going.
I'm ready to go.
I'm so
Man.
The
jacked.
podcast is.
I'm ready to wave that wire.
Hey, before we start, how many? So you're the beer bet winner, Anthony.
Because I have the lease.
Yeah, you have the least.
Is he? I guess so.
I have the most with 3. Tyler has 2.
So that means you're so fucking stupid.
Yeah. I went from
Why is everyone so fucking stupid?
to me being stupid. So here I am. I got my 1 beer. We'll just knock these out at the beginning.
I'm
How
still
about
down
that?
with the sickness. I got my estancia, his cousin, Estuncia.
You want to start the podcast? That's a good ASMR listen, huh?
I lost a beer bet too, so we'll be slamming some beers.
Anyways, you want to start us off?
Yeah, so we just go through some injuries in week 4. I think 2 of the biggest ones are you got Trubisky from the Bears, and then you got Devontae Adams from the Packers. So Trubisky, he had an MRI. They said it wasn't anything serious, but then they said he had like a slight tear in his labrum, and I just feel like that's not very good if you're a quarterback. So just keep an eye on it. I think, Chase Daniels coming in probably going to affect the team as a whole. Maybe they lean on David Montgomery a little bit more. He actually had 24 total touches. Played, I think, just shy under 70%. I think it was like 68 or 69% of the snaps. Mike Davis was actually inactive on this one. I looked at that. I didn't notice that until today. But so if Trubisky's out, maybe they lean on David Montgomery a little bit more going forward until he comes back, or even maybe lean on him a little bit more so they don't have to rely on Trubisky throwing the ball so much. Devontae Adams is probably the big one. He was a buy low candidate coming into the week. And if you got him on the cheap, good for you because he exploded. I think he had like 8 or 9 catches, 180 yards.
Yeah, he was still exploding.
Yeah, yeah.
Then now his toesies hurt.
His toes hurt. So his toe, he says he's got turf toe. He was talking about he could barely put a shoe on. Adam Schefter came out in the Monday Night Preview saying it doesn't look good for him, and they're probably expecting him to miss this week. It's early in the week, so you never know. Things can change going on, but just kind of be prepared to not have Devontae Adams going forward in this week. So guys like MVS and Geronimo Allison, they'll be big names that we'll touch on as we go through the Waive That Wire.
Waive That Wire. I believe I read that he's already pretty much ruled out for this.
Pretty much ruled out, right?
Yeah. I think anytime I've had a player that's had turf toe, it's usually a multi-week. The good thing is that he played on Thursday, so I'd expect a 1 week absence. You might be able to get him in that second week, possibly where it's, because they had that extra few days of rest, or maybe he makes that second week. But I think realistically, you're looking at a 2 week absence with that extra few days of rest, and then maybe the third. But what you don't want him to do is rush him back too fast, and then it just reappears. I remember when I had DeMarco Murray years ago, and he had that turf toe. It just kept popping up because they were trying to get him back into action. He would go in the game. You'd see him limp. He would end up coming off the field, and you're better off having him at full health when you come back instead of trying to rush him back.
For sure. You guys want to touch on the Monday Night Football game? Just recapping that a little bit, or?
Oh yeah,
Sure,
that's
Mike
cool.
does.
Before we start, I just want to announce, since this is our first use of it, you probably, if you watch on the YouTube version, you probably seen the beer helmet. But since I missed 3, I pretty much finished this first one. Let me just knock this out.
Pretty much.
Dude, you take that beer like a champ.
That throat.
All right, dude.
Well.
I'm the beer champ. That's what everybody says. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna throw this bad boy on.
Beer helmet.
What's my nickname with this on?
Simple Jack.
Can you hear me good?
Simple Jack.
I do
You kinda
look
look like kangaroo.
Down syndrome-y with this on. I will not lie. I feel good though. I feel like this is my purpose.
I feel like you're ready to take a hit.
Hit
Yeah,
a
watch
what?
out for concussion. Vontaze Burfict's coming for you. Duck down low.
This is fun, guys. The podcast is fun, right, guys? All right. Anyways, I need to hook this up these straws.
Wait, dude, does it actually hook to the straws?
Oh yeah, dude. It's fucking science, bro.
Nice, dude.
Remember the guy
First
from
official use of the
Waterboy?
beer helmet.
We'll clip this one, eh?
Yeah, we will.
You can do it.
One's in. Ooh, that's fucking.
That's nice.
This one's a little warmer. I'm gonna.
Is that the guy who wears the beer helmet? You can do it.
You can do it.
You
Kick his
do
ass. Is he wear the beer helmet in that movie, right?
I said Joe Montana.
Mike doesn't like that guy.
So
right.
Mike's over here. He lost a couple beer
Mike's
bets.
trying to fix the helmet. Jarvis Landry,
continue.
too. That's another one. He has a concussion. So, keep an eye on that throughout the week. See, watch his status. If you had Landry, or if, he might be in the waiver wire. So,
Yeah.
I guess we can get into him a little later. But watch his concussion. And then there was someone else. Christian Kirk has a little bit of a leg injury. You got to watch Josh Allen too with that concussion.
Oh.
I can see the beer floating through.
I disagree with this beer helmet. I'm gonna retire it.
Why? What happened?
This isn't good.
Well, you just shook the beer that you threw into the floor, and then you put it up there. You tried to catch it.
That's not what's happening.
I like you hear the fizz.
All right, continue with the podcast. Sorry.
But yeah, keep an eye on Josh Allen's status too this week, because it doesn't necessarily. You might not have been starting Josh Allen, but it affects the pass catchers for that team and the running game too.
For sure,
and,
yeah.
There's a couple things to go with that.
Any other injuries you could think of?
Marlon Mack. They said he didn't have an injury, but it seemed like he left the fourth quarter because of an ankle injury. So, let's see. Read the news on Marlon Mack. you see anything where Marlon Mack's injured too, and we don't, we can discuss Naheem Hines, Hines and Wilkins, but if we don't get to it and there's something later in the week where Mack pops up with the ankle injury, those are some guys too.
For sure.
All right, I gave it up.
I sound delicious with this raspy voice.
You gave up on the beer helmet, bro?
Yeah, dude. It's all foaming.
First off, you lost, so
It's
put
all
that shit back on.
Dude, I can't even hear myself. I can't even. Listen. Continue.
You won't drink those
Bro,
beers.
you can
though.
probably get that man bung
All
on
right.
again.
I know, right? Hey, continue. We're recapping. Let's recap Monday's game.
All right, let's talk about your Steelers, bro. How do you feel about it, dog?
First win of the season. I'm feeling not amazing, but it was a good win. It wasn't like a close game, so it gives me a little bit more faith. The defense looked really good. I know this is a fantasy football podcast, but I'm pretty excited about the team. I'm excited about Steelers defense. I think you are too.
Yeah, I actually
Fantasy-wise.
picked up the Steelers defense. I streamed them this week. They got me like 14 points ish around there. I can't remember, 14 to 16 points. So it was a good one. I mean, good. They have a good defensive line, and you're the one who actually brought it to my attention that they were one of the best teams in terms of sacking the quarterback. They might have actually been like the best team at sacking the quarterback.
They led the league in sacks last year, which before they signed Devin Bush and before they signed, I know Minka's plays more like free safety, but before they signed two big defensive players,
Yeah.
they led the league in sacks.
Yeah, but you even mentioned on it. You said like, "Oh, our defense is good. We just we keep giving up these like deep passes."
Yeah.
But you go trade for a guy like Minka Fitzpatrick from the Dolphins, and that's literally his. He's a free safety. He plays center field, so that kind of eliminated that. I mean, you guys got good backers. You guys got good linemen. Joe Hayden at corner. Like I said, Minka Fitzpatrick in the secondary. You drafted the safety in the first round a couple years ago. So, yeah, I like the Steelers' defense going forward as a sneaky defense to pick up. I know they're available in a ton of leagues.
Sneaky.
You slither little snag.
Snake.
As far as, like, the offense goes for the Steelers, I mean, Mason Rudolph looked like Alex Smith out there as, like, captain check down.
Yeah, it did seem.
I think they threw one deep pass, and that was to Deontay Johnson, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and that's another thing that we can touch on is that Deontay Johnson seems more like the James Washington we were all expecting.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, some random guy at the gym came up to me. He's like, "You been watching this game?" And I was like, "Nah." And he's like, "Really?" I was like, "Nah, I've been busy today, but I'm working out." He's like, "Dude, Mason Rudolph throws the ball like 2 yards every play."
Yeah.
He's like, literally, he's 2 yards in the line. He's like, "I don't know what the fuck's going on." He's like, "Kind of worried about Juju." He's like, "I have Juju in the league," and I was like, "Yeah, I'd probably be worried too."
Yeah.
Well, what's it called? His average before that big play, I think before he threw like another like 15-yard. But before that, his average throw was like negative yard.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, because they were literally just running the ball. That was basically it.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah,
Speaking
same.
of Juju, I think he finished with 3 for 15. I'm not sure. I think he only had like 6 targets or so. I could be wrong. Let me double check this real quick. But I mean, yeah, if you're a Juju owner, how do you feel right now? I mean, because like he literally was just like checking it down. Like Mason Rudolph finished 24 for 28, so that sounds good. But only 229 passing yards. He had the 2 touchdowns. But like I said, Juju 3 for 15 on 4 targets. I mean, you got James Conner getting more. Deontay Thomas had more. Jalen Samuels had more. 4 targets for your number 1 receiver, Juju. I mean, are you in full panic mode right now?
Kind of.
I think things get better for him, but I mean, one of the things with him in the offseason that not everyone, but some people would touch on is like, can he, now that he's the one teams are focusing to take him away, can he take that next step? And it's like, Reggie Wayne straight up said he was like he's gonna have a rude awakening. He's like he's gonna have nightmares of these DBs. Like this is Reggie Wayne because he had Marvin Harrison. Was it Marvin Harrison? No, what's his name in front of him for the Colts?
Reggie Wayne?
Yeah, who was on the other side of him?
Marvin Harrison.
Marvin Harrison. He was on the other side, and when he became the one, he said he's like Juju's gonna have some, and I think Reggie Wayne was probably a little older at that point in his career. But Juju's in his second year. He's like he's gonna have nightmares of these corners, these guys trying to double team him, take him away.
Yeah.
And I think he's still in that adapting process. I think eventually Juju will be able to make things happen, but I think he's still in that. Some of it's the quarterback play, but then some of it is it him, or it's like he's still like he's getting shut down by the corners.
He had 4 targets in this game.
But is that a product of the rookie quarterback? He's not getting open, and he's not the timing, the chemistry what Big Ben had, where it's
What
different.
I think a lot to do with this is game script. I think that
I mean, it's 2 weeks in a row though with Juju, like where he hasn't. You take that big play away. He was 2 for like 15 last week,
It's like 2 for 5.
or 2 for 5. Yeah, it's just like.
Something stupid like that.
I mean, I was working, so I didn't get to watch that game. But
And then I mean, even with Big Ben, the targets were there, but the numbers were okay. But it's like, I think things get better, like I said. But I do think he is kind of struggling, and not having Big Ben's it's gonna help that. It's not gonna help that curve kind of develop. So I think he's gonna be a wide receiver, low end 2-3 the rest of the way. That's my personal opinion as of right now.
So if you had him, would you be trying to flip him right now? Would you trying to, like, I don't want to deal with it?
I think the thing is, it's like-
inconsistency. If someone wants it, if someone's gonna like if someone's gonna come at me with a buy low in a sense, or like offer, do you try to flip him because you're just like, all right, I just want to deal with it. It's just too much of a headache. Let me try to get someone more stable. Like, what if someone comes at you with like a Mike Evans or like a T.Y.
I don't think
Hilton?
anyone's gonna offer you Mike Evans or T.Y. I don't think you're even gonna get that.
I can't even think of anyone off the top of my
yeah,
head.
Mike Evans, no one's offering you Mike Evans.
What about like
for
a
that.
Robert Woods, a Brandon Cooks?
You might be able to get someone like that.
Get a Cooper Cup. I would take Cooper Cup. Maybe.
Oh yeah, no, I'd take Cooper Cup in a heartbeat. But I don't think anyone's offering you Cooper.
But you
Kupp
never
for-
know. At the end of the day, it comes down to like sometimes they just buy into the name of
yeah.
who the player is. They'll be like, oh, like Juju, like yeah, like you know. And
I'll
they'll,
trade you. I'll trade.
but
you.
also
they're
that's-
not looking as in depth as like, okay, Mason Rudolph isn't throwing the ball.
I think that too.
He's not getting any targets. They might
People-
just think like, oh, Juju, like
when
yeah,
did Cooper
I'll get
Cup?
Juju.
Where did Cooper Cup get drafted?
like fifth round.
Fifth
He was
round.
like fifth round turn. I got him there.
So if I'm thinking,
twice.
so I'm just playing devil's advocate. So like what you're saying is like, so if I drafted Cooper Cup in the 5th round, and I'm like, oh, he had a couple good weeks, like, oh shit, I could buy low and fucking get a 1st round pick for that. Like, not saying that this is exactly gonna happen, but I could see it. I could see that happen.
But most people who don't research targets and like all that, they don't really think about buying low. They're
Well, yeah,
not
it's
like
the same, but
that's
they
true.
might buy into the name of Juju. He's got like a name. Like
Yeah.
you think of like, oh, I'll trade you Juju, and people are like, ooh, Juju. Like it's,
I mean, you guys could be right, but I also think there's the name value of Big Ben, and everyone knows that Big Ben is not there, and you've seen the 2
Yeah.
games after that, so it's like, I mean, I just think you're gonna have a hard time flipping him for what he could even be worth. I mean, if I'm offering you Juju, I'm giving you like John Brown.
maybe
That's my-
That's you.
Yeah,
but maybe you try to like package him. Maybe throw like a Juju and like a decent running back, and you try to get
think
like,
that's where
like
you're
an
better off
Odell or like a DeAndre Hopkins who have kind of have like some down weeks. You know, right now if someone was like Juju for Devontae Adams, even with the toe issue, you taking Devontae Adams?
over Juju, yeah,
Yeah.
in a heartbeat.
Yeah, see, I mean, like that's possible. You know, someone might be hurting and be like, "Oh,
Oh
fuck,
wait,
I
no,
can't-"
I'm not getting rid of Adams. I'm keeping Adams.
no,
Oh,
right?
yeah, so yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That could happen though. It's like someone could get rid of Adams in a situation like that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're an 0-4 team and they're desperate and they need maybe, but I don't know.
I think
just-
we kind of touched on it.
I think it's just weird with Juju right now. I think he's just in a weird situation because he hasn't if he had a couple spike games, but it's just been like average production.
I think his highest
Yeah.
game was in a full PPR is 15 points.
Yeah, so I think that's why it's hard to flip him, and it's like I said,
It might be hard, but I definitely think
yeah.
there still is opportunity this early into the season, and I think that all they did was run the ball in this game. They were up early,
Yeah,
not by a lot, but they were still up early. I think that this is what happened during that game because I watched all of it. It seemed like they kind of like stacked the box trying to stop the run to force Mason Rudolph to throw the ball. Then, so what they started doing is these stupid like little fucking trick plays with Jalen Samuels. You've seen Jalen Samuels be out there a bunch. And so because they were running the ball so much, they ended up not throwing it at all. So it's like, I don't know how much he threw for. I think he ended up throwing probably about the same as Andy Dalton. He actually threw more than I would think. But
Mason Rudolph.
yeah.
Yeah, he threw for more than Andy Dalton.
he threw less interceptions.
But anyways, I don't know. I just think that like they kind of tried to force them to throw the ball. They ended up still sticking with the run, establish it. It's kind of hard to go off that game.
Yeah, I think kind of another point I'm making too is I think teams are going to straight up take away Juju. That's going to be like, this is your one guy who can beat us. As of right now, you guys are struggling to run the ball on the ground.
Yeah.
We're going to take him away.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good. That's a good point.
you're right. But I think Tyler's question was, well, do you try and trade?
Yeah,
You know,
I think I try and get rid of him, and I think I like here's the I'm trying to think of someone who's like Kenny Galladay. I would flip him for Kenny Galladay probably.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like it's like, but I would just rather have a little bit more consistency week to week, not like. I think that's maybe a name where I'd maybe consider, or, I mean,
I think that's why Juju got drafted so
I
high.
feel like
is
Tyler
because he
Lockett is a
was-
guy who never gets recognition, but I would try and get Juju for Lockett if I could. That'd be like I think that's probably the peak of what you can reach for with Juju.
Yeah.
And that's probably what you're looking at, where it's like he didn't have the best game last week, but he is like a top 12 wide receiver. Juju's not. Tyler Lockett doesn't get that recognition, type of name. I think that's what you got to find is someone who doesn't get that name but still does production.
Right.
Where just like Tyler said, kind of like what we're both saying, almost combining him a little bit. Is like use his name to get someone who doesn't necessarily have a name and kind of play it that way if you're going to make the trade.
I mean, the league I have Juju in, I can definitely probably make one of these trades.
Or find a Steelers fan.
Hey, Mike, you want Juju?
No, I have
Because
Juju.
that's one of the best ways to go too. Is if you have someone who's a Steelers fan or like a Juju fan, that's where you flip them to.
I just
'cause
realized
then it's
one
like
of
they're
these
like
guys.
they're more like inclined to take it.
Yeah. So let's touch on the running back situation here. So James Conner finally had a good game, 10 rushes, 42 yards. Also tacked on 8 receptions on 8 targets for 83 yards and a touchdown. So solid game from James Conner. But one thing I noticed right here, and if this is going to be any idea of like how the offense is going to run going forward with Mason Rudolph, it's they did a ton of like wildcat plays where Jalen Samuels was back there. So Jalen Samuels actually had 3 quote unquote pass attempts, those little shovel passes on the jet sweeps in the wildcat offense, but three passes for 31 yards. He also had 10 rushes too, only 26 yards there, but then 8 receptions for 57 yards. He also gets one in on the ground, so a touchdown for him as well. I mean, if this is how it's going to be, it's looking like a committee. I mean, if Jalen Samuels is going to be back there getting all these snaps, it looks like a 50-50 committee, and they're both getting involved a lot. He's 80% available, so he's definitely a guy we're going to touch on going in the waiver wire. He'd actually probably be, after watching this game, like I said, if this is the blueprint of what they're trying to establish, it could have just been a game script against the Bengals. But if this is how it's going to be going forward, he has to be owned in every single league because of how involved in the offense he was.
I didn't watch the game. Sorry.
Yeah, so
No,
as far as-
Jalen, he was out there. I mean, like, yeah, I would agree 100%. I mean, there's nothing really to touch on. It's just
we'll jump on the Bengals side of the ball. Then Andy Dalton, dud game, got sacked 8 times. When you're getting hit and pressured every play, it's hard to really have a play develop. Joe Mixon, not a terrible game, not a great game. It's just that offensive line over there. It's not good. I know people give Miami, we're Dolphins fans, me and Anthony, but I know people give Miami a ton of shit because of how bad we are, but it's like our offensive line is that bad. But if we're the worst offensive line, the Bengals aren't far behind. They're
right there.
the 31st worst offensive line. And it just shows you.
Them are the Falcons.
Yeah. And it just shows,
Those two.
we touched on it a lot. Like, we just try to avoid players. They're good players. Mixon's a good player. You
Yeah.
put him on a different team. You put Mixon behind the Cowboys line. He's going to put up similar numbers to Zeke.
I think he might put a better number.
Yeah, he's going to, be comparable.
He's
but,
a better pass catcher.
if you don't have an offensive line, it's tough for these players. It's tough for these quarterbacks, to drop back, 5-7 drop backs, have the receivers run down the field. When they're getting pressured and sacked at, such a high rate, I just try to avoid bad offenses, bad offensive lines. With that being said, you want to try and jump into this
Wait a wire.
wave that wire?
here's the thing is that sometimes I think you have to wait the wire, so it's important and stuff.
You got to
Hey.
sound. You got to sound.
Hey, would
bite
you
that
do
one
my-
order. Wave the wire.
Wave the
Hey,
wire.
wait, though, I put it on my laptop, but I didn't.
Hey, what'd you do to my Devontae?
Hey, Freeman, bro, free my man, fool. Hey, listen, I got a little shout out. One of my coworkers at work listened to the Waiver Wire episode last week and picked up Wayne Gallman and won by 10 points. Played him, won by 10 points. So, little success story.
Yeet.
We
One
told-
success story at
appreciate
a
it.
time. That's how we get there.
Oh yeah,
That's how we do this, boys.
Hey, write a review for us, Mike's
Yeah.
coworker.
Mike's coworker. Mike it's probably Mike.
Why don't you text them?
Hey, so my coworker. I'll
text him.
We put it in our chat.
Yeah, text him.
I know. I get it.
Anyways, this is funny for us and probably not for whoever's listening. Listen, who are you waving on this wire?
I'm waving on the wire. Let's start on the quarterback side of the ball here. So I don't know, who do you got over there? Anything over there? I got a couple guys.
I mean, I'm just trying to look at some things, but I think off head, if I know he's there because I've seen him there in some leagues, is Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
I think you have to start to buy into the system a little bit. I kind of I don't know if I mentioned this on the podcast or if I mentioned it off air.
Yeah.
Just sounds funny saying that.
Yeah.
That the Bruce Arians system, Carson Palmer even mentioned that like if he's going to struggle for a minute and this is not an easy system to pick up. He said it took me like 3-4 weeks before I even grasped it. And I mean, we've seen the last 2 weeks. I mean, I know it was the Giants last week, so it was hard to buy in. I benched Jameis Winston, which cost me a win in one league, but it wasn't a good matchup. It was on the road against the Rams defense that's been shutting pretty much everyone down, for the most part. And, he went out there and basically torched him.
Yeah.
In a sense. And I think with seeing that, I think Jameis is still going to be Jameis. You're still going to have those weeks where he throws a couple picks, but if he can at least sustain this success on the drives, the touchdowns, the yardage, he has the weapons. I mean, he has Godwin, he has Evans. Howard hasn't even really gotten that involved yet, and if they do involve him a little more, it's only going to make this team better. And I think you have to go and grab him, and he could be, what some of us were saying he could be in the offseason, but it was just a slow start to it. So if he's there, he's my number one quarterback to grab.
Yeah. I mean, we always talk about it. Like, are you going to drink the Kool-Aid after, the last game? And I wouldn't have started him against the Rams defense. I'm actually still shocked that the Rams lost that game to famous Jameis. But 56% available. Back-to-back games, 25 or more points. And in both those games, 380 or plus passing yards with 3 or more passing touchdowns in those 2 games. Like you said, maybe he's just finally getting the hang of it. I mean, we've kind of seen Mike Williams come alive. Chris Godwin's just been a monster. I think he's got to be like top 5 right now, I think, PPR wise. So yeah, maybe. I mean, you could be worse. You could do worse. I mean,
Then who, Jameis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I think he has a pretty decent schedule, if I can remember correctly, coming up. I don't know about that game. But he plays the Saints, who, they were pretty good last week, but up to last week, they were literally dead last in points to the quarterback. And then that could be a tricky game. In 2 weeks, he goes to London against the Panthers. So, I don't know. London games are weird.
Yeah.
Can I just say, I just want to mention something before we continue on this. Pay attention to league. I've said it before, is go to your leagues in ESPN app, go to league, click, I think it's not transactions. What is it?
Recent activity.
Recent activity. Hit recent activity and look at what people are dropping. I'm in a lot of leagues, so I missed it. But someone dropped George Kittle in one of my leagues.
Shut up.
Yeah, and someone picked him up on Saturday, and nobody's seen it. Like, I just didn't see it.
Pop up in like the tight end position.
I don't know. I mean,
he's on a bye. We talked about this actually.
That's right.
He plays on buys. He's projected
1%,
0, so
yeah.
he's not at the top of the.
Do you think I was trying to be sneaky? I could sneak him through.
No,
no one knows.
Why would you drop George Kittle?
This is just, I just thought of it right
It's
now.
not even like he's been terrible. I mean,
Yeah.
He's been like, where you drafted him, he hasn't been great. But
He does have Evan Ingram, and he does have Vance McDonald, but Vance McDonald's injured right now. I don't know what happened. Obviously, this is like kind of like a
why
very
is this guy
amateur
so
move.
fucking stupid?
But
Yeah, seriously, drop that fucking. You dropped George Kittle. Why?
So fucking stupid.
yeah,
Yeah, that's how you. Yeah.
I mean, honestly though, like it was just, it's one of those things where it's like, I usually check it and I do look at it a lot, but I just ended up missing it. And I got a text on Sunday morning, or whenever he did it, and it said, did George Kittle get dropped and nobody noticed? Are you serious? And I fucking went and looked at it, and I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Just gold, just sitting on that.
So yeah, look at the roster percentage. That's usually what I click on.
Yeah, that too. So like, if you go and look at that, like, there's little things like that will really save you. Like, I always check that kind of stuff, just because sometimes people will be in a pinch and on a bye week dropping like players they shouldn't be. So yeah, definitely check that.
For sure, take advantage of that.
Yeah.
George Kittle.
Crazy,
so
right?
Fucking stupid. So for me, one of the quarterbacks I like, you got Matt Stafford. He's 55% available. 245 or more passing yards and 2 touchdowns in 3 of the 4 games. I mean, you got weapons like Galladay, Marvin Jones. I mean, Hawkinson, he's been up and down, but still pretty decent player. And then Kerryon Johnson, out of the backfield, he can catch the ball. So he'd be a guy if you hurting for a quarterback, maybe a quarterback's on a bye, double quarterback league. Even as a backup quarterback, these bye weeks are going to start coming up. He'd definitely be a guy who I'd be interested in grabbing.
I like it. Matt Stafford.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and he has some good matchups. I know
What's
here
his
and there.
percentage owned?
I think he's that perfect pickup.
He's 55% available.
I think he's that perfect pickup own, and like when your quarterback has a bye or if your quarterback has like a tough matchup, you might get the weeks where he has a good matchup because in those good matchups he's been playing well and he's throwing that ball deep.
Yeah. He's a good streaming quarterback. I've already
Yeah.
streamed him twice in a league. Just the matchups were better.
And he's not the quarterback's gonna let you down.
Yeah.
It's like I've streamed sometimes. Like I streamed and missed on Jameis and a couple like another league. I who else? I can't remember who I had, but they were off to a slow start too. And it's like sometimes when you stream and you get those misses, it sucks to have those misses because they literally fuck your week.
For
But if you have that second like backup streamer where it's like Stafford Rivers, like I know when these guys play Stafford and Rivers, like I know they're gonna get me like 202 touchdowns. They're not gonna go out there and throw up duds. It's just not really what they do.
Yeah. So speaking of like kind of like a safe floor here, you got the Minshew Mania. Uncle Rico from the Jags. He's 85% available, and I was just kind of looking through the quarterbacks who are available. I know technically he's the backup, but I think the way he's been playing, it'd be hard for them to throw Nick Foles back in after the Minshew Mania. People have been calling it Minshew Magic, but I like to call it Minshew Mania.
Dude stretches in his jockstrap, bro.
Yeah. But 16 points or more in all 4 weeks, and he didn't even start week 1, so he came in, I think the first quarter or whatnot, but I mean, if you're talking about like a safe floor, if you got a second quarterback or just like a backup quarterback, yeah, 16 or more points in all 4 games. Minshew Mania. It's the mustache, bro.
Mustache.
I like it. More points than Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, see that.
It's
More
pretty
points.
wild.
Yeah.
My bad. You got any other quarterbacks? You think
Just a couple quarterbacks that are out there. So you still got Baker. He's 20% available. I wouldn't have been dropping him like we said. It's just he hasn't thrown for more than 1 touchdown in a game yet, but I still think that they're getting the hold of the offense and he's getting better. So I just wouldn't drop him if he's there. Even if he's your backup, go get him. Then you got Josh Allen, 33% available, and Drew Brees, who's 28% available. I know he's hurt, but if you want to grab him and just throw him on your bench and stash him. I mean, I feel like when he comes back, he's going to come back with a vengeance.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that. With a vengeance. What else we talking about, big boy?
big boy.
We can jump into the running backs here.
All right, let's do it.
Andy Dalton, actually. Sorry to bring him up.
No, we can bring him in.
But he plays the Giants next week, I believe, right?
Cardinals.
Cardinals.
Even
So
better.
good.
So he's someone who I can guarantee you he's about to get dropped.
Yeah.
100%. And he's someone where it's like if you need a streaming option, he's going to be a streaming option.
I think they're at
so-
home, too, against
Yeah.
the
So if you're
Cardinals,
listening to this
so-
right now, we're posting this on Tuesday, but this could be something that will drop and be on the second waiver wire for Saturday. Right?
Yeah, when we discussing matchups and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I can guarantee he's going to
Right?
get dropped in some leagues. And the Cardinals,
Yeah.
they're not a good defense.
Could be a really good streaming option.
And we've all like alluded to the fact that Andy Dalton in primetime, he's no good.
He's not good.
He's no good. So like, we kind of knew that the primetime game was going to possibly. I think he's 6 and I heard on I think it was ESPN radio, or not ESPN. Yeah, the ESPN podcast. I was listening to Matthew Berry and them talk. He's 5 and like 18 in like Monday night games.
Oh, yeah. He's
And they're like,
he's
someone was
not
like,
good.
how did the Bengals get so many damn Monday night games? Or like
'cause
some
they play the
primetime
Steelers.
games.
Yeah.
It's all against the Steelers, probably.
Yeah, but so he's gonna get dropped. But I mean, he's throwing the ball at least what you say 35 times.
36 or more pass attempts in all 4 games.
And then
so they're
some-
throwing the ball. And,
Yeah, and something I told Tyler too earlier in the. I mean, I don't know if AJ Green's back too. That's another thing. He could be. Maybe I don't know if that's a chance.
3 more weeks is
3
what
more
it's
weeks?
looking
Okay.
like.
Here's the thing.
Week 8 is what it's looking like.
But I told Tyler, I was like, what the Cardinals do is they allow more opportunity for more plays to be snapped because they run at such a high rate. Let's just say I'm gonna break it down to some fucking science for y'all right here real quick. So let's just say in an average game, the teams run 69 plays each, right? Against the Cardinals, where the snaps are up, they're running 75, 76 plays. That's an extra, 7, 8 9 plays, whatever it is. So it's extra opportunity, extra points that are, going in these games when they play the Cardinals. And they're not a good defense on top of that. So
yeah.
just some science for you guys.
Science.
Science. You're not the only scientist.
Science.
For sure. No, I agree about it. He actually could be a sneaky top 10 play next week who's getting dropped.
Andy
Dalton.
Dalton.
For the streaming. So we jump into the running backs here. Like I said, my number one running back guy, who's widely available. I guess you want to do like over 50 or under 50% available. But at least one of my main guys will here be Jalen Samuels. After watching that game, he's 80% available. Like I said, 3 pass attempts, 10 rushes, a touchdown on the ground, and then 8 receptions for 57 yards. I mean, he's being used in all 3 facets of the game. Is that the right word, facets?
Yeah,
sure.
There you go.
Oh, shit, whatever.
Like it.
Anyways,
The way your vocabulary is multifaceted.
there you go, dude. I'm multifaceted over here.
Oh.
But
Not unless you watch Nick Chubb.
Oh,
he's
dude,
multi-chubbed right now.
He's fucking
He's
like
mega
he
flaccid.
took like 3 black rhinos.
Oh,
last game.
exactly.
Black rhino like 15.
Average Bros is sponsored by Black Rhino. Pick him up at your local
We could definitely
7-Eleven.
get sponsored with Black Rhino, 100%.
For sure. But yeah, Jalen Samuels, like I said, if this is any like if this is like a blueprint of how the offense is going to be ran, I mean, they're running wildcat plays. He's getting involved on the ground and in the receiving wise. And like you said, if they're going to game plan, if teams are going to double Juju to shut him out, I think short little dump offs from Mason Rudolph's is going to be a real possibility. So yeah, Jalen Samuels, I mean, I think he needs to be owned way more than 80%.
He was out there running rampant.
Yeah. What are some guys that you like right here?
Ronald Jones.
Ronald Jones.
I think
Ew.
I know, ill. I'm not a fan of him, but I mean, he's looked okay.
No, he has, yeah. I'm a guy who looks at the numbers. You know, I always say it, men lie, women lie, but the numbers don't lie. And the numbers are not bad.
Yeah, I mean, 120 yards in 2 games in a row. Here's the thing: the running back position gets thin. You have to add someone who's going to who's combined for 120 yards total 2 weeks in a row. Like I said, pointed out, is the system could be going now. It's getting its wheels going, his wheels turning. You know, Bruce Arians kind of wants a running back. Ronald Jones didn't separate himself, but maybe he's starting to. You know, as much as I give him crap for not being a good pass catcher and kind of, having a slow start to his career, we've seen slow starts before, and I still think he has the tools, in a sense, if you want to call it tools, to be a lot better running back than Peyton Barber. You know, I don't think Peyton Barber has the explosiveness he does. He doesn't have the agility he does. I think sometimes we take for granted that the NFL game is faster, and sometimes it takes players longer to, acclimate to the speed than others. But yeah, I mean, I think he's someone you got to add. He could be, a low-end RB2 on certain weeks, mid RB2 week play, and I think you have to add him at this point.
Yeah, 58% available. Just some numbers on Ronald Jones, though. Like, I was actually surprised looking at these, but 70 or more rushing yards in 3 of the 4 games, 10 or more PPR points in those 3 of the 4 games he's had. So, I mean, if like I was to cross out the name and just show you the numbers, you're thinking like, okay, I got this running back has 70 more rushing yards in 3 of the 75% of the game so far. You'd probably want that running back on at least on your roster, right?
Yeah.
So, and like Anthony said, it's he's a young guy. He's coming around. And one thing with this is like they won't be able to stack the box on Ronald Jones because you have Mike Evans, you got Godwin. Even though O.J. Howard's not getting involved, he still stretches the field, in this vertical passing attack that Bruce Arians brings to the table. So he's not facing stacked boxes, and he's obviously got some speed to hit the whole hard, these big chunk plays. So yeah, I'm not mad at it at all either. One of the guys I like for me is I like Chris Thompson, 35% available. Another guy who's just, I feel like people are just sleeping on him. 10 plus PPR points in all 4 games, 4 plus receptions, and 45 or more receiving yards in all 4 of those games as well. I mean, like I said, here's a guy, maybe you don't feel comfortable starting him, but when these bye weeks come around, you might need a running back, you might need a flex play. And I think Chris Thompson's a good guy that you're definitely gonna want in your team.
Yeah, you're sitting over here trying to trade me.
I am. I'm trying. I've sent you like 5 different trade offers.
Well, yeah, because listen, be better, be more like me. You know what I mean? Draft better,
Yeah,
do
your team's
better.
good. I think
kidding.
Anthony drafted for you in that league, though.
No,
I'm pretty sure.
It's
Yeah,
very incorrect.
Yeah, dude. I think he drafted for you.
did he? Why do you think I was stressing out, barely setting up the bar I was working at that night?
I don't know, dude, but I'm pretty sure Anthony was here drafting for you this whole time, and that's why you have all these players.
Oh my god!
But I
don't
could be wrong.
fucking lie.
I feel like I get 10% of the winnings.
Dude, you would have went homer pick. You would have went like Moncrief, James Washington, Vance McDonald, like back to back picks. 3, 4, 5. Juju in the first. I don't know. I'm just saying, bro. It's science.
Bro, you fucking tried to make me get Draft Juju, you fuck.
Whatever. Anyways, let's talk about Wayne Gallman. So he was pretty much the main waiver guy last week. Still 30% available. I was actually kind of
Yeah, I saw
shocked
that release. I was like,
at
what
looking at that.
What fucking league is he available in?
Monster game for him. I think he had like 29 points or something like 20 something points. A monster game. Like you did. If you had Saquon Barkley and you had Gallman as your handcuff, you threw Wayne Gallman in there and you didn't miss a beat. You know, he actually might have had more points in that game than Saquon did in any
I think
game.
all year, because I don't
All
think Saquon's
year.
been a double digit.
So yeah, it's
not dual touchdown week.
yeah, so it's pretty good. So if you have Gallman, good for you. If not 30% available, then technically he would be my number one waiver guy for out here over Jalen Samuels. But yeah, 30% available. I couldn't believe that. You got any guys you want to touch on? I have I always have a list of guys. Anything you think of? All right, I'll touch on another guy over here. So we got my boy Kenyon Drake.
Kenyon Drake actually showed up today.
Kenyon Drake
Yes,
is
past week.
25% available, and I know it sounds Drake.
Drake!
Can
That's-
you clip that one for us?
Yeah, I'll do it right
Bro,
now.
you have to. Drake.
I'll do it right now.
So look, Kenyon Drake, 25% available. I know Miami is terrible, but I was just telling you guys this off the air. We've literally our first 4 games. The Dolphins aren't good. Like I just said, they have probably the worst line in the NFL. They're not good. They're on a fire sale. They're trading everybody for anything they can get. You know, draft capital wise, cutting players for salary cap purposes. But their first 4 games, they literally played 4 playoff teams. They played the Ravens, the Cowboys, the Patriots, and then the Chargers. So the 4 playoff teams against probably one of the worst, if not the worst team in the NFL right now. Of course they're going to lose. Of course they're going to get destroyed. They're not a playoff team, right? What the fuck do I know? I just run a fucking podcast. Anyways.
Someone just said fuck the Dolphins.
Yeah. Anyways. But watching the game, he looked good out there. He looked explosive. I mean, he's getting involved in the passing game. And there are rumors of him being traded. So if he's out there on your waiver wire, like someone dropped in one of my leagues, and I'm not necessarily grabbing him to throw him into my lineup. You know, like, oh, I got Drake. Let me throw him in my lineup. But I'm holding him and I'm stashing him. Drake? I'm holding him and I'm stashing him. And then, you know, who knows? Maybe they end up trading him for someone. Maybe he goes to a different team and his value could really shoot up. So just a guy for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of, I guess, tough on us. I don't know if it's tough love, but, you know, watching Drake on the field, he's like at that back. He makes people miss. It's like he was like a couple, like, I don't want to say inches, but a couple like close missed tackles away from breaking some big runs. He did break a big run, like a 40-yard run, but they called it back on a holding call.
He looked really explosive. And
you
like
know,
I said, his ability to make people miss is...
I think they're finally realizing that Kalen Ballage, like, he's basically out there with the blindfold just running.
Yeah.
You know, he just doesn't, he's not good in the passing game. They even brought in Mark Walton in the passing game to give Drake a break, like kind of, you know, so they might give him that workhorse role for once. And if they do, you know, there's better matchups ahead. They play the Redskins coming up. You know, when they play the Jets and these other teams, he's going to get a little bit more of, you know, it's going to be a little bit closer game script than it is in some of these. And, you know, I don't think the Dolphins are going to not score more than, you know, 7 points a game. They're going to have some games where they put up 21 points. And you might want to start Drake in some of those closer matchups.
Yeah. Like I said, they played 4 playoff teams from the previous year in their first 4 games. What do you expect with them being that good? But there's a couple other players. You got Devin Singletary. He's 27% available. I mean, once he comes back, I think is going to be, you know, integrated into that Buffalo Bills offense.
That's a cute word.
Yeah, ooh, like that. See, my vocabulary, dude. When I start drinking, my vocabulary gets extensive. But 27% available. I just fucked up my vocabulary. But crazy stat I saw on Singletary was they were breaking down the running backs for the most 15 or more rushes. Like, you know, you run the ball for 15 or more rushes. And I think it was Dalvin Cook who had the most, but he had like 52 total carries. And then Singletary was second right behind him with 5, but he only has 10 carries. So an explosive runner, 27% available. When he comes back, I think, you know, he's going to eat into Gore's production. Obviously, a guy who can run and catch the ball out of the backfield as well.
He's a guy too that if Gore actually gets hurt for once, which seems to never happen.
Dude, did you ever put that on Frank the Tank, dude?
But if he did, he would be like an instant RB2.
Yeah. Speaking of Frank the Tank, 43% available, 16 or more PPR points in 3 straight weeks for Frank the Tank. He's just, you know, like he runs good. Like we were watching some highlights and he still just hits the hole hard, and he's like a little bowling ball when he gets through there. And it's like he breaks through that first, second level, and then he gets into that third level, the corners and safeties, and he's still a little truck running through there. So, I mean, even when Singletary
little
comes back, I mean, even when Singletary comes back, I still think he's got some value. You know, goal line carries and whatnot. He's just definitely someone I would want on my lineup. You know, if I have a roster spot open, you know, like a guy, I'm just like, oh, I'm never gonna play this guy. I'd rather have Frank the Tank on my thing. And we know how hamstrings are. Like they're easily. We touched on it honestly going into this last matchups. You know, I asked you, would you start Singletary, and you're like, well, I'm a little scared because the hamstring could flare up again. And who knows, maybe he comes back out and boom, he re-aggravates it, and boom, Frank Gore's back out here again.
Yeah, like, I hit you with a quick no. You're like, would you start him? I was like, no.
No, yeah, but that's the facts of it. Do you have any players?
Running back wise, I think you touched on everyone.
All right, well, I got more guys here.
Hey, I have an announcement for the podcast. I got oh, just kidding. Continue.
All right, so just a couple more guys. I'm just going to run through these real quick. So you got Tevin Coleman. He's 37% available. He'd be a stash for me. They're saying he could possibly come back this next week, Monday night against the Browns. If not, probably the next week after that. But, I mean, we've seen how these running backs in the Shanahan system for the 49ers have been productive. You know, does he come back and regain like that starter role? Does he, you know, get, you know, 15 touches, you know, per game when he comes back? We'll see. But here's a guy I would want to hold on my bench just to see what happens. Then you also got Carlos Hyde, 42% available. I know it's not a sexy name. I know he hasn't been putting up the craziest numbers, but 10 or more carries in each week. And I think this offense will start to get the hang of it. I think they'll start to I mean, 2 games, I think they've scored under 14 points. I think better days are ahead for the Texans offense. I mean, they have weapons, Fuller, DeAndre, Deshaun Watson. I think there's going to be more points to be scored in this offense, and he's a guy, like I said, getting 10-plus carries and goal line work. You'd like to see that. You got Jordan Howard after that monster game. He's 44% available, 3 touchdowns. I mean, what's your thoughts on this Eagles backfield? I mean, you got Miles Sanders, who's been putting up some decent yardage, but you know they're still splitting in 3 ways. It seems. Almost.
I think if I have Jordan Howard, I'm selling him.
Selling high.
Yeah, I think this is like one of his spike peak, probably 2-3 performances. So it's like I'm looking to sell him right here if I have him, which I don't. But if I do,
I think how available is Jordan Howard? I feel like Jordan Howard's pretty available.
44% available.
Yeah, I feel like if you had Jordan Howard, you might have dropped him already.
we made fun of Jordan Howard, but who has a higher yards per carry? David Montgomery or Jordan Howard?
Probably Jordan Howard.
I mean, he's got more touchdowns,
I mean,
that's for sure.
Well, I mean, fucking David Montgomery has like
What's
he
his
had
yards
like
per carry
24
this year?
had like 24 carries, and he didn't have that much rushing yards.
Yeah, I mean, it's just. I think I agree with Anthony right here. If I have him, I'm trying to sell high. I'm trying to see if anyone will bite on this line I send out there, because I don't want to deal with it, because I feel like it's still going to be a running back by committee.
Yeah.
You know,
I still think Miles Sanders
Turbo
is
McVisor. Yeah, Turbo McVisor. He's always.
Wait, who are you talking? Who's the Miami Dolphins running back?
Bro, you're so late behind.
20 minutes like over here getting. He hasn't said a word for 20 minutes because he's getting his fucking drops ready.
Drake? Drake?
Yeah, I'm talking about.
Sorry, I got it.
All right, dude. But it was good. Good for later, so we can talk about it later.
You guys said to get it. I went and did
Dude,
it
you
immediately.
fucking got it. So fucking good right there. All right.
Someone just asked me if you sell high on Minshew.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can sell,
get it on for him.
if you can sell Minshew, sell him. ASAP.
That's a perfect example of like selling high on the name right now and the hype of Minshew mania.
Yeah, there's plenty of streamer quarterbacks you can get that are Minshew, if not Minshew plus.
For sure, yeah.
But they don't wear a jockstrap, just like like Minshew does in the locker room.
Yeah. Just 2 more guys I want to touch on right here. So you got Ty Montgomery. He's 93% available. The only reason I bring him up is because we've seen the Jets just, give Le'Veon a massive workload at the gate through the first 3 weeks. And, he's not the model, of health, staying on the field. So if he gets nicked up and he misses a game or he gets hurt, Ty Montgomery would take over. If I have Le'Veon Bell, I definitely want Ty Montgomery as my handcuff just in case. You don't want the whole Saquon Barkley and the Wayne Gallman. If you had Wayne Gallman, you're not stressing, but if you didn't, you're stressing. So I would go get Montgomery if I had Le'Veon Bell, just one of the guys I'd want to handcuff. And then Darrell Williams, one of the D. Williams brothers over there in Kansas City.
He's giving that D.
56% available. He's slanging that.
No, only Daniel D. is slanging
Hey,
the D.
listen. Well, I am gonna give you that D. Williams. Will I am.
All right.
Sorry.
But anyways,
Yeah,
D. Williams, Darrell Williams,
kinda like
56%
D. Johnson.
available.
Sorry.
15 or more PPR points in back-to-back games. Obviously his value is based on whether the other D Williams, Damian Williams returns or not. So, but I think what we've learned here is it doesn't matter which D Williams is in. They're going to put up points along with LaShawn McCoy. This is pretty much a committee backfield. This is what it's really turned into over there in Kansas City.
Well, I think it's like any running back's going to be like pretty decent there, just because everyone who plays the Chiefs is so scared of Pat Mahomes that they don't try and prevent the run at all. So I just feel like that offense is so scary. No matter what, they're going to be out there. They're going to be running the ball.
But they incorporate the running backs in the passing game. So,
Exactly.
I mean, even like 3 or 4 catches for 30, 40 yards. Because, like you said, they are stretching the field. And then you throw a little swing route.
Dump,
There's nobody there. So the running back's getting,
Right, exactly.
8 to 10 yards per reception.
Just like I said.
Yeah. Did you?
Yeah, I feel like that's what I said.
But did you, though?
I'm pretty sure that's what I said, but
I don't know. Dude, that beard helmet's got you simple jacking over here.
dude,
Oh, simple yak.
I'm always simple jacking.
All right, off the subject here, but
What?
simple jacking off the subject. Anyways, all right, so you don't have any running backs you want to touch on, right? Sexy Rexy, 60% available. Still just a
Yeah, I
guy
think he might get dropped.
I'd like to have on my bench.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not mad at it.
I'm not throwing him in my lineup, but I definitely want him on my bench.
I told Tyler, I was like, I remember years ago, I was like, I don't know what made me think of it, but I had like this weird like thing pop in my head where it's like, they're like talking about the Patriots when it was like, the Patriots running backs, if they don't practice, or just players in general, they don't get game scripted into the game script.
Yeah,
And,
they
like,
just don't play.
Yeah,
I mean, he
and like
benched
legit that
Malcolm
happened with
Butler.
Rex Burkhead, and I told Tyler, I was like, hey, let's note this. I was like, going forward, if someone doesn't practice all week and they play, let's see if they get game scripted out because of the game plan.
My bad, guys.
I don't know if I should
For
drink
the
that
audio
one.
listeners.
You should drink that right now. Jesus Christ, it's fucking raining beers.
Call me Gardner Minshew.
Raining fire. Of beers. Oh,
Oh, framing fucking dragon. Listen here, fuckface.
this is Framing Dragon.
Framing dragon.
I don't know what kind of fucking agency you got over there.
Listen here, fuckface. All
We
right.
don't negotiate with terrorists.
Speaking of Flaming Dragons, how about these wide receivers?
Oh,
Oh, they framed on the field.
they flaming dragon. Make a beer bet. Yeah, who's your number one ad?
I think
let's
my number
see.
one.
I know who yours is. Homer pick.
Okay, never mind. Go ahead. Okay,
Let's
my number
see.
one would be Deontay Johnson.
Burr, burr, burr.
Dun, 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 dun.
The
No, listen, Deontay.
Simpsons.
That's not a homer pick at
Can we
all.
play the
brother.
Simpsons drop whenever you say something about?
Why? Oh,
Homer.
Homer. No, I'll just play. Nope.
Nope.
Listen, dude. Fucking. I fucking suck, dude.
Dude,
Anyways,
get better, dude.
All right, we'll get better. Tell us your guy.
better.
Tell us about your guy.
listen, Deontay Johnson. He's a guy.
Is he?
Pick him up. Deontay Johnson has been what we thought James Washington was going to be. If he's available in your league, pick him up. What's his percentage on? Let's see.
A lot.
It's
a lot of Vagina.
Available,
percentage-
he's a lot.
A lot of
Yeah.
vagina.
Thank you.
A lot of vagina.
He is
Sorry.
the past two games. He went 3 receptions for 52 yards last week and a touchdown. He again got another touchdown, but he went 6 receptions for 77 yards. For some reason, it seems like maybe, I don't know, he's been lining up on the left. Maybe it's Mason Rudolph prefers that side, or our O-line's maybe stronger on the left side. I don't know what it is. But he throws to Deontay Johnson more. He's my number one wide receiver pickup this week.
I mean, yeah, James Washington didn't even have a catch this game, I think. So I think you're
I
right.
don't even think he was targeted
Yeah,
once.
I think Deontay Johnson is, like you said, what we're kind of hoping James Washington can be. I mean, I know he has back-to-back games with touchdowns, and they're, those are like we're making fun of Rudolph here, Mason Rudolph, for dink and dunking, but a couple deep throws he's had, 2 of them have gone to Deontay Johnson, both of them have gone for touchdowns.
Yeah.
I like it.
Well, that's my number one probably
I think
this week.
one of the things I heard with James Washington
wide
is he
receiver.
was a good practice player. But he just wasn't putting stuff together in the games. And there are people like that. Like even when I used to play Like
Well,
sports.
they moved our wide receiver core a lot. Like I mean, we had a Eli Rogers.
Well, no, I'm saying there's just players who are better practice players than they are actual game players.
Sure.
Where it's like, I mean, even when, like I said, even if you played high school sports, college sports, you'd have those guys who are like good at practice, but then they get into the game and they can't do shit. And it's just like, I don't know if the stage is too big for them or they get nervous or what it is. And like, I think that's just the case with James Washington. You know, I think he's maybe he's just a better practice player than he is a game player.
Could be.
And it's the opposite sometimes, where some guys aren't the best practice players. You put them on the field. That's where you get these people who come and like, oh, this guy came out of nowhere. It's because like they're like, but then you look at their college tape and they were always a baller or a gamer, this and that, and it's just because they're a gamer on the field. But if you put them in practice and the combine and all this shit, they don't perform. But when they get on the field, it's just, they just take it to a different level.
Right.
For sure.
Someone asked you since we're doing the waiver wire episode, if you would pick up AB in any kind of.
I don't think so. I just think all the drama,
I finally
and he's
dropped
not
him.
helping himself with all these like Twitter beefs he keeps getting into with.
You seen with Eric Weddle?
Eric Weddle, and then even
I was watching
our other roommate Justin, aka The Rock, aka the worst fantasy player in the world. He was saying that he got into it with someone else on Twitter, and they were just he said something about like I need my first English assignment's due. I need someone to proofread my assignment, and like he spelt like 3 words wrong in a tweet, and someone was like, "Bro, if you can't even do a tweet right, like your English assignment's probably fucked." So, I don't know. He's just not helping himself. The guy just needs to shut up, delete Twitter, like delete social media, just keep training.
What good has Twitter ever done for anybody? Like, has anybody be like,
all
"Oh, I've
these
made
Instagram,
millions"?
Twitter models. Or whatever
No,
you
but
wanna
there's
call
no.
them.
But that's Instagram. That nobody's ever made millions off of Twitter.
I highly doubt that.
I mean, besides Twitter,
I still probably highly doubt that.
I don't think so. Most people get in trouble or get fired from their jobs from Twitter. Actors, actresses, people. I agree with you. You should get delete the app.
Yeah.
He's like addicted to social media. He loves like people
Attention.
talking about it. You know, he loves his name being out there.
Yeah, I don't know. He just, I'd stay away from AB if I could. I mean, if you had him, and you're like, might as well just hold on to him. You never know. But would I be like picking him up? Probably not.
That being said, crazier things have happened.
I mean, where's the situation where he's going to go, though, too, on top of this? Like, where it's like he fell into the almost perfect situation with the Patriots to where he could be relevant week to week. Like, what's a team that's going to, like the Jets?
reminds me of the way
Is it going to be really that, like, guys, someone you're trusting week to week?
It would take. I was actually telling someone this the other day. I think, in my opinion, it would take for a team to lose a receiver. Like you lose,
like Dallas lost, like Amari Cooper.
You lose like an Amari Cooper. You lose a DeAndre Hopkins. You lose Julio Jones, I guess, and maybe not necessarily for them, but because they've been losing Calvin Ridley and Sanu and stuff like that. But like, it would take a team to like lose their number one superstar receiver, and then like they have nobody, so they're like, okay, we have nobody. We're in a playoff hunt. We're trying to get in the playoffs.
That's true.
All right, let's go sign AB because
Like,
we're still trying to make a run.
Can you shut the fuck up for 6 weeks? We'll give you $8 million.
It would take something like that, in my opinion.
He won't though.
Like, do I get to wear my helmet? They're like, God damn it, we're not signing you. Get the fuck back on the streets.
I keep joking around with people, but I keep telling people that Antonio Brown is going to be the face of the XFL because that's coming out. The draft for the XFL is coming up sooner or later, and I feel like, you know, as the XFL, to get people to watch, you're going to need some star players, you know. So who better than right now to get an Antonio Brown and be like, he's the star of the XFL. He's trending. You know, people can't get enough of Antonio Brown. I don't know why. I just have a weird feeling. I could be completely wrong about it, but
no, you're. I mean,
you know, they could go out and pay him. Hey, we'll pay you fucking 4 years, $40 million guaranteed. Just join this team. Be like one of the faces of the XFL to get us going. You know, a momentum pusher. So it's gonna happen.
I can see that.
I don't know.
No, I can see that happening.
I like it.
Yeah. I mean, they might pay him like decent amount. I mean, I don't know how much money he has.
I mean, Vince McMahon's got more money than God probably. So if they want to pay someone some money, then they'll pay him some money.
Hey, Loki, I had a drink with Vince McMahon once.
Yeah.
This is back at Vanity with Lancey.
Oh, nice.
We should give Lancey a call for the podcast.
Were you guys stone colding some beers together or what?
Nah, we were at I think it was Vanity or Body English, and we were up there with him and one of the other wrestlers, and he was just like, just drinking with gave us like Johnny Walker.
Was he just
What's
fucking jacked?
Blue, yeah.
Was he just jacked?
He was all like suited up and shit.
Yeah. He's all jacked when you see him in the wrestling matches.
Is it true? Did he touch your BP?
Yeah, it's true. 100%.
Sick.
No wonder that's how you got that new truck. I knew it.
Yeah, gotta do what you gotta do. I think my favorite ad this week is Geronimo Allison.
I like that.
I think what it is like I think MVS stays in his role because I don't think he's as complete of as a route runner as Geronimo Allison is. MVS has had some good games, but you look at the completion percentage and the chemistry at Rodgers, and I just don't think it's. I don't think it's there. I think he's 50% catch guy versus where Geronimo's more of a complete receiver. He can do more of the routes that Devontae Adams does. I think MVS is good at what he does, and he's good for those deep balls and some of these plays. But I just think Geronimo's a more well-rounded receiver, and I think he's going to take on. I could be wrong on this, but I think he's going to take on more of what Devontae Adams did in the offense while he's gone for the next week or two than MVS is. And he has touchdown chemistry with Rodgers. Dating back to last year, I think he scored I want to say like at least 3 or 4 of the games he played in with him.
I mean, he's put up some solid numbers last year before he got hurt, but he's 83% available. And then you got MVS, he's 33% available. Both those guys would be 2 guys who I would definitely be trying to target.
Who would you target first?
I mean, if you're looking for like a floor, probably Geronimo Allison, and he's actually, kind of seems like the guy in the red zone. Like I said, he's a better polished route runner compared to MVS, who's kind of more of like the downfield stretcher. Home run, MVS, floor, probably Geronimo Allison. It just depends on my roster construction there. If I have a guy like, like a John Brown or like a Will Fuller, I don't want necessarily 2 home run guys. Maybe I'm looking for someone who can give me a little bit more of like a consistent safe floor. Maybe I'll go Allison. But if I have some guys who are like PPR safe floor guys, then maybe I go MVS for the home run.
I mean, Smokey's been pretty consistent in PPR.
Yeah. Speaking of that, Smokey, 42% available. I hate bringing this up because I'm trying to get him from Mr. Miyagi right now. But yeah, I don't understand it. 42% available. He's a number 1 wide receiver in an NFL offense.
He was like a yard away from scoring last week too.
Yeah, he was. He was way off away. But 8 or more targets in 3 of the 4 games
against Stephen Gilmore too. That's like pretty impressive what he did.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. But yeah, I just don't get it. I mean, here's a guy who's, I think I was looking at the numbers in half PPR and full point PPR, but I'm pretty sure he's a top 24 wide receiver in half point and full point PPR right now. And he's available in 42% of leagues. I just don't understand it. A top 24 receiver is available in 40% leagues.
Yeah, I don't.
It doesn't make sense.
I don't get
it. I hate saying this because I'm literally trying to trade Mike right now for him because he's just sitting on Mike's bench. Like Mr. Miyagi over here, he's got a pretty good lineup in one of the leagues we're in. And he's just got John Brown.
I think I told him to take a Smokey.
Yeah,
right?
he's just got John Brown chilling on his bench. Like, he doesn't even play him. And I'm like, yo.
He's like, oh, yeah, I like John Brown.
I need a receiver. And I'm like, yo, trade me. And he's just, I don't know. I hate bringing this up because I'm trying to finagle my way a trade with him. We'll see if I can pull it out, listeners. Maybe send him some tweets and tell him to trade me. But, well, speaking of the Miyagi.
Speaking of the white Diablo.
These beers are going to me.
Well, yeah, John Brown's available. And then another Bills receiver here. You got Cole Beasley. He's 79% available.
I mean, the only thing I have a Cole Beasley start to cut you off is, like, when are you really going to start him, though?
I mean, he's just,
like,
if you're in a pinch, like,
I mean, I just started
you get some injuries, you never know, or you get maybe you have a bye week. I mean, honestly, who really pays attention when you're drafting? Like, oh, I don't want to draft this player because I have 3 bye weeks that way. Like, no, you're still going to draft that player.
Some people, there are a lot of people.
Maybe you get into a week where you have 3 or 4 players on a bye week. It happens to all of us. When you get to these bye weeks down the stretch, Cole Beasley could be a guy you pick up. You throw him on your bench, and he's got a safe floor. 3 weeks where he's scored between 10 and 11 PPR points. So
yeah, I was gonna say
the ceiling isn't high, but the floor is there.
Okay, if you're gonna take a shot and like same.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Mike. No, speak.
No, dude, I don't want to anymore.
Speak.
I quit.
Speak, Grizzly Bear.
Okay, this is what I was gonna say. Is like you said, when are you realistically going to play him? And I played Zach Pascal in a pinch because I'm in a 3 wide receiver league and I had Antonio Brown. Chris Godwin's my number 1 receiver, but thank the Lord I fucking have him. Otherwise I'd be fucked. But I fucking dropped AB and picked up Zach Pascal and played him, like feeling good about it. Like that's how that. And it's like I had Cole Beasley and I benched him, and
Okay.
But I fucking definitely could have put. I played Zach Pascal, so.
I think
there's definitely like situations.
He's probably gonna. I mean, just off the top of my head, I haven't looked at the numbers, but he's probably gonna finish as a top 50 wide receiver. And if you think about that, is he a bench worthy just to hold him on your bench? Because I mean, let's say if someone goes down, let's just say I don't want to knock on wood, I don't want to knock on Smokey Brown here, but say Smokey Brown goes down, I think Cole Beasley's value with them would shoot up because he probably would turn into the number one there, which it sounds ugly, but I mean if he's getting 8 catches for 70 yards on a consistent basis, you like that as a safe floor. Just a guy, just a name, just a name to keep it.
Is he a guy?
He is a guy.
Right. Another guy. Oh, what's your thoughts on Golden Tati? Golden Tater.
Pick him up if he's fucking there, man.
He's
for
there.
Sure.
What's the percentage?
48% available
Oh,
to the
dude.
ESPN league.
The Golden Tater.
I went and picked him up in as many leagues as I could.
I
even
love
double-checked.
it. If he's there, he'd be one of my main waiver pickups.
Yeah, looking at more of like a passing game script like last week that the Giants had, that was a lot more of a passing game script, which I think you're going to get more often than not. I don't think they're going to blow out teams like they did the Redskins last week. The receiver position last week, so let's do 4 games, 20, 27, 21, 13. So you take out last week's game where they were, beating the crap out of the Redskins in a sense, where they were more of a, run-heavy script. They're throwing the ball to receivers about 20-plus times.
Yeah.
And it seems to be pretty much kind of funneled to, Sterling Shepard for the most part is the one, but these other guys are getting looks that I think are going to go to Golden Tate.
Yeah, for sure.
I think these other guys are kind of. I think it's going to be more concentrated to Golden Tate, Sterling Shepard, Evan Ingram, and Wayne Gallman.
With
And
that, oh my bad.
I just say the Giants are going to be trailing probably 90% of their games.
Still one of the worst pass defenses in the
Yeah.
league, even though they didn't give it up this week. But the weeks 1 through 3, they were the worst pass
Yeah,
defense,
and that's
even worse
'cause-
than Miami.
Yeah, and they played a Washington offense with Case Keenum and no McLaurin, who's their number one by far. So it was pretty much a good game script for them.
Yeah, I just got a question. So Sterling Shepard's had back-to-back games. He's come out. He's balled out. I think when Golden Tate comes back, he eats into that production. So would you be trying to sell high on Sterling Shepard right now? I mean, maybe you package trade of Sterling Shepard and someone, and you try to get like one of these, like I said, one of these elite receivers like a D Hop or an Odell. They're, maybe people are, they're panicking in a sense. I mean, would you be trying to sell high on Sterling Shepard, or are you just holding him because you like what you see so far?
I mean, I don't know if I'd be able to get like an Odell or something like that. I think my sell high idea would be like a high end 2 would probably be like.
I mean, like, would you say, like, say you got like Mike Evans and Sterling Shepard, you packaging them for a D Hop?
If I could pull that off.
But people react, bro. I mean, like, they see back-to-back weeks Sterling Shepard, back-to-back week Mike Evans. They see D Hop, who's got like 4 for 50 back-to-back weeks. They
Yeah.
might be like, oh, I can get 2
No,
stud players.
if I could get that.
You got to think. I know most people aren't thinking.
I don't
as
see the thing
savvy
is,
as
I don't think
wanna say as us.
Sterling
I don't
Shepard's
humble brag, but
I don't think Sterling Shepard's necessarily a sell high right now. I think he's a good receiver.
you think you just hold on to him?
I think whenever he's had the chance to be number one, he's proven he can be. The times Odell's went down, like Eli Manning, I had him like a couple years ago when Eli Manning lost Odell, and I mean he was like a top 15 receiver. I think he can do enough to be a number one in this league against number one.
But you don't
corners.
think when Golden Tate comes in, that's going to eat a little, even if it's like, let's say 2 to 3 targets extra, maybe a couple goal line or red zone targets, end zone targets, they take away from Sterling Shepard. You don't think that's going to eat into his production?
This is
or
my
you think
personal
it's-
opinion, but not really.
No.
I think these other guys aren't very talented outside of that, and I think there's enough wide receiver targets. Like I said, too, if you let's just say take the mean of the 20 to 27, let's just say 24. I think there's still enough targets to go around for Sterling Shepard to see 7 to 9 targets.
Yeah.
And I think as long as Danny Dimes is slinging that dick, Sterling Shepard's gonna. I think he's gonna be a solid like wide receiver too, pretty consistently.
Yeah.
I might be on the like minority side of this, but I'm really not worried about Golden Tate coming back. But I think to your point, if you can sell high in him, do it. But I think he's someone I might even try and buy low on.
Yeah.
Where it's like I can have a consistent wide receiver 2, 3 in game scripts where there's no Saquon one for the next whatever weeks. I don't know, he's a superhuman.
At
so
least
maybe-
5 or 5
he's
weeks.
a
Let's say
superhuman,
5
so it
weeks.
might be
Right.
2 weeks. But he's like, I'm trying to come back. I'm like, wouldn't put it past him because he's a freak. But and people know that Golden Tate are coming back, and I think you might be able to get him and kind of rely on him for a consistent floor. And if Jones will keep throwing touchdowns, I think he's going to be pretty consistent.
Yeah.
I said I might be in the minority in this, but I think he's
No,
talented.
he's looking like a great draft day steal for you because
Yeah.
you're drafting Sterling Shepard in probably like the double-digit rounds.
Yeah,
and
he was
he's-
like a 9 to
he's-
11th
he's
round
been,
pick.
He's been balling out pretty good. So, so another name for me right here, I like Cortland Sutton, 30% available. I know he's, 70% owned, but 30% available still owned. But 11 or more PPR points in 3 of the 4 games. And, him and Manny have, been meshing pretty good together. 1-2 combo. You see Flacco, he's slanging it like Danny Dimes. But, this Broncos defense, one thing I've learned is over these last 4 weeks is they're not very good. They just lost Bradley Chubb. He tore his ACL. He's out for the year. So it feels like they're going to be in game scripts where they're throwing the ball more than running the ball. And, Cortland Sutton's a guy who seems to be getting some good, we did a stat on the Instagram page. But, he was, I think, 4th in the NFL last year in terms of end zone targets. And, he's already up there again, in terms of end zone targets going forward in this year. So just a guy. A guy.
Is he a guy?
He's a guy.
There one wide receiver. What do you guys think about AJ Green? How available is AJ Green? Are you trying to target?
If he's there, I'd grab him and stash him.
Yeah, but would you trade target him?
Oh, trade target.
This is my thinking on AJ Green, which is like he's up for like a contract thing, which kind of makes more sense with after this year, I think. So it kind of makes more sense why he was saying, because so everybody said that the timetable for him was a certain amount of weeks. He said, I don't know who said this certain amount of weeks. It's going to be way longer than that. I think that AJ Green, you might see a situation where AJ Green might stay out longer than he's actually he's going to hold on to this injury longer, or as long as he can.
He's almost doing a holdout.
Just trying to prevent. Yeah, it's just trying to prevent himself from further injuring himself before contract extension. So that's just an interesting thing. I thought I realized the whole AJ Green thing.
I mean, I'm in 5 leagues. I have him in 1 league. I've been stashing him. I read something today that he's not going to come back for 3 more weeks. So you're looking at a week 7, week 8 return. I mean, hopefully, I'm trying to weather the storm. I'm pretty weak at wide receiver in that league, honestly.
Yeah, me too.
But I've trying to weather the storm if I can to get into the playoffs, because I'm hoping once I get into that week 10, 13, 14, 15, whatever towards the final home road stretch there, he can actually turn up for me and come in and contribute. If you could get him on the low, like Anthony said, maybe stash him. If he's out there on the waiver wire, I'd for sure go get him and stash him.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, if he's waving that wire, you go get him.
It's just tough because you don't know when he's gonna come back. You hear all kinds of different things. I read something the other day where he was jogging past a reporter at the practice field, and the reporter said something like, "Oh, you're looking good," and he was like, "Yeah, well, why don't you tweet that? People keep saying I'm hurt, but I'm not. I'm okay." And
yeah.
But then you hear things like, "Oh, well, he's still 3 weeks out." So
he said, "Yeah."
know.
It literally was. He literally said, "I covered it when I did the Thursday night recap or preview or whatever by myself." But yeah, there was literally a notification.
You just got to throw out that you did by yourself, huh?
I covered it when I did the Thursday night recap by myself.
Listen, dude, I'm out here. Okay.
Oh, dude, I think we got the worst amount of complaints that week.
Eggplant,
Like,
peach
why is
water.
everyone so fucking stupid?
That's what everybody
Oh,
said.
these guys are fucking.
But that week it was you got a
Fuck you,
notification. AJ Green might be better, might be coming back sooner than you thought, and then literally the next day it was AJ Green saying that I'm going to be out for longer. Than they're saying. I don't know who put this timetable together, but it's going to be longer than that. So maybe he doesn't know what's happening with his injury, or I don't know. But
yeah. We'll see what happens. Speaking of AJ, or another AJ, we should say, what about AJ Brown?
Nope.
Yeah, he had a monster game. 94% available.
Sorry.
I mean, this Titans passing attack, I think we've touched on it a couple times. The Titans are a team. They want to play good defense. They want
are you
to run
drafting?
the ball.
Let me ask you this: Are you not drafting? Are you picking up Marcus Mariota?
Gross.
Exactly. So that's why I'm not picking up AJ.
Give
Brown.
me the most targets AJ Brown's had in a game.
I don't know. I know he hasn't had more than 3 receptions in a game though.
I'll tell you.
4.
I'll tell you what he
A little more
has.
than that.
Yeah.
I know it.
I'll tell you what it is as he's looking it up right now.
I know.
That's what I'm saying. I'll tell you.
All right, Mike, since you're going to look it up, it's 5.
Oh,
So 5 Marcus Mariota targets. I'm cool.
That's like
Yeah, he's had
That's like
5 and 2
3
games,
real
yeah.
targets.
It's like 1 real target in a sense. And we've touched on it. Like
We
we're
just
not,
want to say, yeah, I just want to touch on him because I feel like he had the monster game
In a
you know,
dynasty,
and people are probably going to
okay.
be rushing to go get him. Like, oh, 2 touchdowns, like crazy good game
on 3 targets.
on 3 targets.
Yeah.
3 targets for 94 yards. That means that's
Two-
just like 3
2
big plays.
touchdowns.
Yeah. 2 touchdowns.
I mean, the one there is Delaney Walker, and then, I mean, one week it was Corey Davis, one week it was Humphreys, one week it was AJ Brown. It's like, and it's Mariota's not good.
and
so
Corey
it's like,
Davis had a lot of targets this past game too.
Yeah, he had 6.
That's
It's
a
just
lot.
crazy because you see
From Mariota.
Double than AJ Brown got.
you see how good
Yeah.
of a talent
I think
AJ
he's a
Brown
dynasty
is.
guy. We're like,
But like I said, like I you know me, I hate Marcus Mariota's like his fantasy value at least. You know, good
Yeah.
player I think, but I
Is
don't
he
like
though?
his
Is
fantasy
he a
value.
good player?
He's a starting quarterback in the NFL, so he's getting his money.
So is Gardner Minshew, and he was fucking.
Well, Gardner Minshew's got
Archie
swag
Minshew
for
fucks,
days.
all right?
Yeah,
Leave my boy alone.
dude, he'll
Just-
fuck your bitch, dog. I'm sorry, Lay. My bad.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to call you the B word.
But these are 2
Is
guys
Lay
though that
hanging
are.
out with Gardner right
I
now?
think I think
Dude,
they're gonna
she's
cut
out
ties
of
with Mariota after this year, whether it's like draft a quarterback or.
Tannehill time, dog.
I mean, I think Tannehill's a better thrower than he is. Like, you want to say his yardage wise with help receivers. You know, maybe one of these guys does become relevant who becomes a quarterback. These are 2 dynasty guys that are interesting. Like, if they can draft let's just say, what's their record right now? 1-3, 2-2, Titans.
They beat the Browns. They beat the
Jaguars.
Jaguars. Did they win this past week? Yeah. So they're 3.
They're 3-1.
3-1 now.
Jesus Christ, what the fuck's going on? All right, well, I guess maybe they won't move on. But
Why is the NFL so
I say
fucking
dynasty wise, I
stupid?
think these are 2 guys who are kind of interesting because I think they're 2 pretty good talents, but they're thrusted into
Oh no, they're 2-2. Sorry.
unfortunate situations.
Oh,
with
they
the
lost to the
quarterback.
Jags.
They did.
This is the problem when you're in too many fantasy leagues. Is you watch the entire game, but you
Because
don't.
Leonard Fournette got tackled with the ankle at like 3. I remember that.
Yeah, exactly.
Pussy.
I mean, all I can say about AJ Brown is like you see the talent. I mean, I know for most NFL teams, he was probably the number 1 receiver on their draft big board going into the draft. But it's just a landing spot that he fell into. You know, being there in Tennessee, like I said, a team wants to run the ball majority of the time, play some good defense, and then ultimately at the end of the day, I don't think we have any faith in Marcus
Yeah.
Mariota.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think they're interesting dynasty guys. I think
There's
if you
a
have-
reason why he's 94% available.
I think if you have AJ Brown and you have him in a dynasty, like you're a little excited of what you've seen so far, knowing that this could be the last year of Mariota, and maybe they go out and take someone with the top. Maybe they get Tua or Hubbard or one of these guys, and maybe they make him into something next year. Because you've seen flashes with Mariota. He's a big play guy, and he's, like I said, he was the number 1 receiver. So it's like if you have one of these guys, there's a little bit reason to be optimistic going forward in a dynasty.
Flashes of AJ Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Just a couple guys I want to touch on right here. So you got DJ Chark. He's still 34% available. 3 straight games with a touchdown. I know he didn't have a touchdown this game, but I was watching the game.
did.
And he had a touchdown. They called it back. Yeah, he had like a
he's making me eat my
30-yard.
words.
Yeah, he had like a 30-yard, 35-yard touchdown or whatever. That got called back on like a holding penalty or something like that. But Minshew, as long as Minshew mania is going on and he's targeting him, I want DJ Chark in my lineup because he's targeting him on these deep passes in the end zone. 34% available. I would definitely want him on my team. Then you got Michael Gallup, 34% available. He should be coming back in the next week or 2. One thing I've noticed is the first 2 weeks with Gallup when he was out there, it was really consistent. It seems like him and Dak have a good rapport. He's getting using the offense a lot. But without him being out there, we were kind of thinking like, okay, does Randall Cobb take the step? Does Devin Smith take that step and take some of these targets? And we've really seen like no receiver, even
it
Jason
hasn't
Witten.
gone
We're talking about
anywhere.
Jason Witten. Does Jason Witten get some of these? The running back, like nobody really has taken a step forward of like, okay, we can fill that void. So I feel like once Michael Gallup comes back, he's just going to step right into that, second wide receiver behind Amari Cooper. And we touched on it. Some of these receivers, they actually play better when they have a number 1 receiver there to kind of, take that number 1 corner or for the defenses to focus on, and then they can just eat against these, second tier corners, I guess you would call them. So he's been a guy actually I've been trying to trade for in a couple leagues, even though he's hurt, but nobody's budging. And 34% available. I think when he comes back, he's going to finish as a top 24 wide receiver.
Ooh.
Beer bet it.
Nah.
All right.
I-
And then another guy, Robbie Anderson, 40% available. I swooped him up in one of my leagues last week. I know he hasn't really performed to what you would want, but I mean, Sam Darnold's been out. You have a third string quarterback in, but here's a guy who's he's on the field 90% plus snaps all 4 games, so he's not leaving the field. He's a deep vertical threat guy. I think once you get him back, once you get Chris Herndon back, Sam Darnold, what I meant back. It's only going to make things easier for Robbie Anderson going forward. He'd definitely be a guy I'd want on my bench at least.
For sure. I like it. I have him on one of my benches. That's one of those
giraffe
benches
neck.
that you wanted.
He looks like a giraffe, right? He literally looks like a giraffe.
Yeah.
What's the Toys R Us guy's name?
I don't know.
He has a name. Isn't it Jeffrey?
Oh, yeah.
No, his name is Jeff.
Jeff the Draft.
One more guy actually here. So you got Philip Dorsett, 63% available. I know he didn't have a good game this last week, but I don't think any pass catchers had a good game this week against the Buffalo Bills. Actually, Bills defense is pretty good, low key. But that's another guy. I want him on my bench. When these bye weeks come in, I mean, let's just say this next week they go out. He has another touchdown. I'd rather have him on my bench putting up points instead of someone going out grabbing him and then starting him against me.
I like it. Philip Dorsett.
Any guys you want to touch on?
Rhymes with corset.
Of course.
Nah.
Preston
think we-
Williams, pick him up. Dolphins. Homer pick.
Number pick.
That's a homer
Don't-
pick. I'll say it. Homer
Don't-
pick.
Yeah.
Preston
You'll
Williams.
notice a lot of wide receivers get dropped and picked up.
Wide receivers,
Just-
you can play. Your bench is the waiver wire is an extension of your bench. You can pick up players and start them. And
Yeah. I
especially
do
5-man benches, you can pick them up and start them.
Yeah. I do it every week in my 3 wide receiver league.
Yeah. Tight ends? Anyone?
Tight ends.
I know Mike's got a tight end.
Okay, I'm not even going to say it then.
Oh.
Because you guys are going to say what you guys always
No, I was
say.
saying like tight end physically, like your body.
Oh. I do have a tight end, you little fucking nerd.
dude. So.
Dude, hit on me on a
With those-
podcast, dude.
With those deep squats and your yoga pants and your True Fusion.
Every girl coming
I just got
at it.
German.
Look, I took his little hattie sing.
The True Fusion.
Look, Grandpapa. No,
Grandpapa. I always sleep better with some wieners than me.
it's a great movie, Beer Fest.
Beer Fest, watch it. Sponsor us.
Everything we talk about. Sponsor us. I didn't mind Nick Van Ette. He looked like he got some targets. That's a homer pick. Don't listen to me.
Don't listen. Oh my guys. Nick Fournette. All right, tight
He got
end.
targeted more than A.J. Brown.
All right, listen, tight end. Number 1 waiver tight end. We touched on it last week. Will Dissly from the Seattle Seahawks. He's 33% available. Go out and get him. 18 or more PPR points in 3 straight weeks. Touchdown or 1 or 2 touchdowns in 3 straight weeks. It seems like here's the guy when they get in the red zone. I talked to you about it when we were watching the game. That year that Jimmy Graham was on the Seahawks, we kind of noticed how they would, short little passes in the red zone. I don't know what it is, but they like throwing to the tight ends when they get close to the end zone. Will Dissly seems to be that guy. Your guy, Nick Vanette, they just traded him away from Seattle to Pittsburgh. Will Dissly's snap percent or his route running percentage went up to 68%. That was the most of all year. Will Dissly.
I like it.
Pick him up.
Well, yeah. What's his
I
percentage on?
just sent Mike the picture of Nick Vanette on Fantasy Pros.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Don't pick up
Yeah,
Nick Vanette.
he's a scholar and a gentleman and a tight end.
And
You guys
a
kind
fantasy
of
superstar.
look alike.
No, we don't.
You guys have the same nose.
That is
Yeah,
not
he
true.
looks hella Asian.
Okay, look at the picture of him on ESPN.
So is he Asian?
Not
Does he
at
wear
all.
like a,
He looks
a
like
samurai hat?
he looks like GI Joe.
He's
That's what
also
he looks like.
6'6".
He looks like his fucking jawline could steal your bitch just alone.
Whoa. Any other tight ends you're really thinking about? I mean, that's probably my only.
I mean, I know you agree with Will Dissly, right?
Yeah, I mean, if he's there, grab him. If he's there, spend like 40% of your fab on him. Like, no, seriously, because tight ends suck. Like, shit, I'm not even
Do
joking.
you think he can finish at this rate?
Yes.
That he finishes as a top 5 tight end?
Yes.
Yeah, I think
because
he's
Russell Wilson is literally like.
I mean, let's see. Let's go through it. You got Kelsey, you got Evan Ingram,
He's probably already top 5 tight end right now.
No, he's ranked 9th right now.
Yeah.
So you got Kelsey, you got Evan Ingram. Who
Yeah.
else? You got Kittle, who should have a resurgence. So
Waller. But like
Waller's probably gonna finish as the top.
you
5
said
in
chance. So if he scores 10 plus touchdowns, yes. And he's already got what, 2, 3?
Yeah, but I mean that's only 1, 2, 3, 4 guys right there. So does he finish as number 5? I mean, who else? I'm really trying to think of some tight ends right now.
And I think teams probably started trying to take away Waller too.
I mean, I'm really thinking about some tight ends right here, and I can't
Here's
really
a
think of
sneaky-
anything.
here's a
I
sneaky
mean,
tight
I
end.
guess you got Ertz. So maybe
here's a sneaky tight end you want
top
to hear.
7 tight end. Disley could finish.
Yeah,
as
I think he
position.
can finish
Wouldn't
top
even
5.
surprise
I
at
think
5.
he can definitely
If
finish
Ertz
top
or
5.
Kittle don't score a lot of touchdowns because Ertz minus last year wasn't, and Kittle didn't score a lot of touchdowns last year minus his 80-yard touchdowns.
All right, listen to this. Doesn't sound sexy.
Vance McDonald.
Gerald Everett, 8 targets for 5 receptions, 44 yards, and a touchdown. What do you guys think? Deep league, Gerald Everett. No, okay.
Is there a cricket drop?
That sounds like a bed getting banged in.
You don't think he has any type of value at all?
I mean, he threw the ball.
Like 70 times.
Yeah, and he's like the
That
5th
was.
passing option behind Cup.
Oh, can we talk about Chris Herndon?
We could talk about Chris Turner.
Yeah, let's do that real fast.
Hernan?
Herndon.
Dude, I'm so turned on right now.
I was turned down the pregame show, and Mike was making his little Asian girl voices.
Dude, he's talking about your Asian girl voices and your tight end. I think he's trying to smash.
I think
My
he
boxers
really
are
is.
on right now. That's all I'm wearing, and they're low as
What about
fuck.
Chris Herndon? 92% available. So
I
here's
like
a guy. He got suspended for the first 4 games of the season.
What did he get
They had a
suspended
bye
for?
week this last week. I think it was PEDs. I think it was extends. I think him and Mike have been hanging out too much. I think Mike.
That's what Mike's like. Can we bring in my boy?
Yeah.
I
I think
bring
Mike.
in my dealer.
I think he was like, "Yo, Mike, my back hurts. Like, you got any ibuprofen 800?" And Mike was like, "Sure, take this." And then he took it. And he's like, "Wait, no." Oh yeah, that's good. No, you're good.
Dude, I went to practice and I fucking had a hard on.
But 92% available. It's comeback week 6. He's 6'4", 250. Runs a 4.7 40.
He's always hard.
He's
That was hard on.
thanks to Mike and the extends. He's always hard. But yeah, I like it. I'm not against it. I think he's a good stash. You know, if you're hurting at tight end, hold on to him because last year as a rookie, a couple good games. I think I saw a stat was like week 7 on or week 10 on or something like that. Like he was a top 10 tight end. I'm not mad at it.
Okay, do you want to do Andre Navarro, Noah Fant watch? Noah Fant actually had a touchdown. Andre Navarro was saying how Noah Fant is going to, what did he say? Top 5 tight end this year?
Top 15. We have a beer bet.
Top 15.
He said he's going to be a top 15
He's got to be up
tight
there
end.
right now with how bleak it is. If
He
he
was
gets scoring
25.
touchdowns.
He was 25 going in last week.
Oh, well, just getting a touchdown probably moves you from 25 to 12.
Probably.
A tight end I could talk about, though, you got Jason Witten from the Cowboys, 45% available. I know it's not the sexiest name, and he's like 40 years old or whatever, but he's tight end 11 so far in some of the leagues I was looking at. And, he's got more points than Jimmy G, Eric Ebron, O.J. Howard, Jack Doyle, and T.J. Hawkinson. So, I mean, if those are your tight ends, and you're struggling for a tight end,
I like that.
Jason Witten, he's available out there.
Damn it. Good thing I didn't draft O.J. Howard in every league.
Did you?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, fuck. Every league?
Yeah, I went in on that motherfucker.
You went on the wrong
I
guy.
mean, it's early. We could say maybe
The
it'll turn
wrong
around,
kid
but
died.
it's it's looking like the wrong kid.
It's I got Will Disley and 2 of them to back him up. So
Yeah, All right, can we talk about defenses real fast then?
Dude, let's talk about these defenses.
All
Can
right.
you get like a drop for defenses? We can be like defenses, and it's like
All right.
Stone Cold Steve Austin, like
if
glass break.
if we have any listeners left, we'll wait for the defenses. They're coming.
The defenses are coming. We'll maybe clip
Defenses
it
are-
then. Let's do our defensive drop, huh? It's right here, right?
You wanna fuck with my huh?
I think it's
You want to fuck with me, man? You want to fuck with my defense?
We need to come up with the new defense.
What?
We need to come up with the new defense drop.
Yeah, but you
we
guys
should get
call
like the
me-
NFL one. Where
You
it's
guys call
like,
me.
You wanna fuck with my May, huh?
You want to? You guys call me
it's not
Asian?
that.
You wanna fuck with my May, huh?
No.
No.
How about-
it's not
we should
that.
get like a cop blocking drop.
Drake? Drake?
All right, we'll do this one.
You can
Defensive
literally play that on
streamer of the week.
anything, and like it's bad.
Bro, it gets you hyped on anything.
Like text him, go like, "Hey, you want this dick?"
Bro, I'm gonna drop
Are you
that
trying to
right when I
fuck
pull
my
my
sister?
fucking pants down. God, that'll get me wet.
All right, some of the defenses. I mean, if you have the Patriots defense, you're still dialing them up. They're on the road against Washington. I mean, I get it. The Patriots defense is like the best in every statistical category, but we were talking about this off air also. It's like their first 8 games they play, and I don't understand why. I just fucking despise the Patriots more than anything in the world. And it's
know
probably
what?
because I'm a Dolphin fan.
I
just think it's unfair how it's like the best team in the first 8 games of the season. They don't play one playoff team in the first
Playoff?
8 games that they play. I just don't understand it. How could you be the best team with the fucking quote unquote GOAT and you don't play one playoff team? Playoffs in the first 8 games. It makes me so mad. That's how much you can sense in
That's
my
ha-
voice how much I dislike
That's
the
the
Patriots.
first half of how many games there is.
I just hate it. But
Yeah.
they haven't played anyone good. That's why their defense is doing so good. But they're playing the
They're
Redskins
playing
this
the
week,
Redskins.
and they're not very good either.
They're
so.
minus 15.5 against the Redskins.
I don't think it's enough.
Yeah, the fucked up part is that they probably will cover that. Did they cover the Bills spread? I don't think they did,
No,
actually.
maybe. No, they won by 6.
I always want to do the math on how many times a team covers a spread. But besides obviously you're lighting up the Patriots defense. I know you want to touch on that because you have like a lot of issues about the Patriots. But like, so what else? Other defenses do you like in here?
Let's see. Espérate mío. Who plays the Texans? Because they just give up sacks like it's fucking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean-
the Chiefs. Wait, no,
No, I don't-
wrong week. Honestly, one of the games, I know this is going to
The
sound
Texans
kind of
play. Actually, the Texans defense play Atlanta. So if the Texans defense is available, you check availability and I'll look over here. The Texans are playing Atlanta. That's fucking.
that's an over game. I don't even
Yeah.
care what the over is.
Tennessee's defense is pretty good this year, and if Josh Allen is out, that's a good defense. I say
yeah.
grab them, and that might be like. If the
Who
waiver
is their
wire,
backup? Still Nathan Peterman.
Charles Barkley. It's Barkley, but I forgot his first name, so I just
Saquon.
Matt Barkley?
said Matt Barkley.
Charles Barkley.
I forgot his first name, so I just said Charles Barkley. You did that little. Have you ever seen Charles Barkley try and golf? His golf swing?
His golf swing is terrible.
You've never seen his golf swing, Mike?
No.
Look
Oh
it
my
up.
God.
It's
Charles
so-
Barkley?
Like it's not like a swing. Like
It's
he's like
he has like a seizure halfway through his swing. He's like, ah. You've never seen it?
No.
All right, as soon as
Have
the
you ever seen,
episode's over, we're gonna look at
Have
it.
you ever seen Shaquille O'Neal drink out of a normal sized water bottle?
No.
He's drinking it, and it's literally like this. I'm holding up a beer with like 4 fingers. Like he's grabbing it, and his whole his fingers just. It looks like a mini water bottle. It doesn't
Really?
make sense.
It's like those mini Tabascos. It's like
Yeah, that's literally what it looks like. Okay. Yeah. So Houston.
I mean, we can maybe touch on this in matchups, but if you're waiver wiring, I'd say maybe Titans would be someone to waiver wire.
just streaming, just because we're big fans of streaming
Yeah.
defenses.
The Panthers possibly at home against the Jaguars. I don't think that's a bad streaming.
could be an under game.
They've been getting a lot of sacks.
Minnesota against the Giants.
Fuck Minnesota. Sorry, that was a bet. That was a bet. Flirt.
Honestly, for me, this is going to sound kind of crazy after the Browns, just put up a monster amount of points against the Ravens. But I low key like the Niners at home Monday night against the Browns. They've had 2 weeks to prepare. And that front seven or that offense, that defensive line for the 49ers, it's stacked with first round picks across the board. And I'm still not sold on the Browns, offensive line and being able to block. And I mean, you put,
Yeah, that left side is.
if you I mean,
Their strong
we've
side?
touched on it a couple times. I feel like the Niners defense is low key underrated. So that would actually be kind of a sneaky one for me right there. If you're trying to stream defense, like you said, don't waste a waiver claim on these guys. But after the waivers go through and they become free agents, quote unquote free agents, that'd be one of the teams that I'd be looking at possibly streaming this week.
I like it.
I mean, obviously, you got Bears against the Raiders. That's a good matchup. What else is there? The Vikings against the Giants. If for some reason, if they're there, that's a good matchup. What about the Eagles at home against the Jets?
I like it. I want to bet that game.
Beer bet?
This is slowly turning into a betting podcast, but yeah, I like the
Kind of some tricky games
Eagles.
here. Maybe the Chargers at home against the Broncos inside the Stalker Stadium, but you never know with that one. Some tricky ones there. Tricky ones. It's tricky.
We'll hit you with better streaming defenses throughout the week when we do better research. The week just ended. We just wanted to get in here and just give you a little knowledge, huh, boys? Huh, boys and girls?
Boy.
Anything else you guys want to touch on the waiver wire episode?
Negative Ghost Rider.
So this has been episode 25 of the Average Bros Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, and I'm signing us out, okay? And we're getting out of here. But before we all leave, go ahead and leave us a review. If you're listening to audio, go to an Apple Podcast app. Give us a rating, 5 stars, please. Or also give us a review. It helps us out big time. It puts us up in the podcast world. So I appreciate it if you would do that for us. If you want to follow us on YouTube, we're always posting videos on there of the full podcast and like little clips and stuff like that. So go check that out. If you want to ask us questions at all, we're always available 24/7 access to the Average Bros. Hit us up on Instagram. That's AverageBros_fantasy football. Hit us up there. We'll help you out with your whole lineup. We do it for a couple of people. How many times do you respond to that one? A couple of people.
I don't know, but
Every
me
week
and
with the whole lineup.
this kid from West Virginia High School have our best friends now.
Exactly. So, if you listen to this and you need some help, hit us up. We're fucking there for you. We'll become your best friend, I guess.
That sound hella Michael Jackson-y right there. Like,
It
wow, me and
truly
this
did.
kid from high school, we're best friends now.
Yeah. It sounded like a little Gardner Minshew.
Dude, don't you fucking throw dirt on his name. He's a saint.
He's a saint. He's actually a Jaguar. But all right, so this has been the Average Bros Fantasy Football Podcast. If you would like to donate, Venmo me at Michael Marcanio. No, just
I was
kidding.
gonna say that last episode. It's funny.
What else do I do? What else are we doing? Twitter, Average Bros FFP. Also Thrive Fantasy. If you want to use our daily fantasy app that we talked about earlier in the podcast, I'm just going to give you the promo code. It's Average Bros, all one word. Not case sensitive. It's medium case. Remember, guys? You guys remember that. So go do that. They'll give you $10 for a minimum of $10 deposit on the app. So that's pretty cool. Free money. You could literally, if you really wanted to, you could put $10 in it, get the extra $10 and then pull it out without making any bets. We're literally giving you a free $10. You could go buy Chipotle, a bunch of things. Anyways.
Chipotle.
Drag. This has been the Average Bros Fantasy Football Podcast. Waiver Wire, Season 2.
Wait, that wire.
Week 4, Episode 25. And we're out.
I'm just blurting out noises.